Alright guys, and we are here, my final video of 2021, and to finish off the year, I always like to end it with either Game of the Year or Comic of the Year, and we are going to do the Comics of the Year for DC. So, if you haven't checked it out, we've done the manga, we've done indie comics, we've done Marvel comics, and now we are going to do DC comics to finish off our list. And I got a lot here, so we're going to start with honorable mentions, and then we're going to get into the top 10 comics for DC for me. So right off the bat, Catwoman Lonely City. I've only read issue 1, but I really enjoyed it. It is a fun, exciting, but also kind of dreary story about Catwoman, or Selina, coming back into the fold after 10 years of being in prison. I really like the idea of this story. It reminds me very much of like Batman Dark Knight Returns mixed with Old Man Logan, because Selina has just had enough of this shit. But I've only read 1 issue, so I can't put it on my top 10 right now, but I really have enjoyed what I am reading, and I think you guys should check that one out. Another one that really surprised me was Batman Imposter. This is kind of very much a feel of the new The Batman movie coming out. I think it's actually by the same writer, or at least he written like one of the scripts for it. It is really a deep dive into the psyche of Mr. Bruce Wayne as kind of a young Batman who's been doing it for a while, and now there's an imposter who's trying to be like him, but he kills. It seems like a simple story, yet it works really well, and you have some really cool therapy sessions with Leslie, so I really enjoyed this one. It was kind of a surprise hit for me. Didn't love it as much as everyone else, but really enjoyed it. Another one that I really did enjoy in the beginning, but has kind of teetered out for me in the last few issues, is Wonder Girl. But saying that, I still advise checking it out. It is a lot of fun. I really love Yara, who is the new Wonder Girl, and she is fantastic. The art is really good, and you get some other Wonder Girls from back in the day, which is really cool to bring them back into the fold. Another story I really enjoy is Rorschach by Tom King. It's great so far, but I've only read about 3 issues in, and I just honestly can't put it any higher because I haven't gotten that far. But it is definitely in more of the vibe of the original Watchmen instead of Doomsday Clock. So if you didn't like Doomsday Clock, I still advise checking this one out. But really good, great art, and kind of an intriguing look into the mind of somebody like Rorschach, but not being the Rorschach from Watchmen. Another one that I really enjoyed is Far Sector. This is a bit long. I feel like if this series was cut down to 9 issues, it would have been more precise and would have got a better flowing story. But saying that, I don't always like when writers of novels come into comics because they don't really know how to balance it well at first. This writer just came in and did a great job. I am so sorry her name is slipping my mind, but go check this one out if you like Green Lantern. I think it is very much worth reading, and it's independent from everything else. The art is fantastic, and I have to say, not a huge fan of the current Green Lantern run, so pick this one up if you like Green Lantern. This is the best Green Lantern story I've read in years. And to finish off my honorable mentions, I know so many, Infinite Frontier. It didn't quite get into my top 10, but as an event goes, this has been one of the best in years. It is a lot of fun. Joshua Williams obviously has a lot of love for the DC Universe, and this is kind of a way to fix some of the problems that happened in the last few years for some fans. Personally, I like a lot of big decisions that DC made, but this was really cool. You get some characters who you love come back, and I definitely think this is worth reading, though you should have some DC knowledge before jumping into this. Okay. We got to it, guys. We're right at the top 10 now. I am so sorry. There's a lot of great comics this year from DC I wanted to shout out. Others that I didn't quite enjoy that everyone loves, like Swamp Thing and everything. I know a lot of people love it. I'm glad you do. Just didn't resonate with me quite the same way. But let's get into my top 10. Alright, so starting off the list is Robin by Joshua Williams and Gleb Novak. I am so sorry if I'm saying names wrong on this list. Excuse me, I just have terrible pronunciation. Anyway, Robin has been one of the most fun comics of the year in my opinion. Damian is trying his best to deal with the grief of losing Alfred, and in doing so, he travels to an island which becomes like a tournament, and I get huge Yu Yu Hakusho anime vibes with great art and some really great interactions with the characters. Damian's growth here is really helping me like the character even more, and I've always been a fan of Damian, so it's all good things for me. But even fans who didn't like Damian, I really think you should check this one out. My number 9 is Joker by James Tynion and, sorry if I'm saying it wrong again, Gilliam March. And it's titled The Joker, but really it's a James Gordon title. And this follows our favorite detective trying to hunt down and murder the Joker. That's right, you heard me right, murder him. Someone has hired James to kill the Joker, and despite many people wanting to exact revenge on the clown, not many very people have or should have the privilege as much as Gordon after what the Joker did to him, to his daughter, to his deceased wife, and many more. One of the best running, slow burn crime dramas that DC is producing right now, and I gotta say, do not miss out on this title just because it's titled Joker. I do not like the Joker that much. I am loving this title. And we're going to fly into number 8 with Superman by Tom Taylor and John Timms. And John is a young adult now, or I guess like late teen, whichever you want to view it. And with Clark going into space, it is up to John to take the mantle of Superman. This journey lets the young hero become the greatest icon to the DC universe. It has solid art, fantastic writing, and that hopeful message of Superman that you want spread throughout. So I really just sit back and enjoy every issue I'm reading. It's not mind-blowing, but that's okay. I just want to enjoy a story with John, and they're doing a really good job with this series. And flying in the opposite direction is Action Comics. On the flip side, we have Clark dealing with a lot here, with a great script from Philip Kennedy Johnson and some great art from Sean Lewis. Clark is losing his power slowly, and he's leading a team of the Authority while also trying to save an entire civilization from one of his greatest foes. So there's a lot here to unpack. There's some great art, family dynamic that I really enjoyed those moments, and Clark never-ending push to save people. We have a very well-crafted and exciting story for Superman fans, and if you're not a fan of John, check this one out, because I think this is the other side that you might be enjoying more if you're more a fan of Clark. So this is great. Check it out. It's the best Action Comics has been in years. Coming at number 6 is Strange Adventures. Tom King gives us another banger and excellent art from Mitch. We have Adam Strange and his wife Elena dealing with being investigated after a murder of a fan, or more of like a disgruntled person who might have been an old fan of Adam, but at one point found out the truth. And it just brings characters that you don't really get much shine or you don't really hear much about, like Mr. Terrific, while also giving us a slow burn but brutal reveal into what people would cover up and do to save people they love. I love that dynamic. Stuff like that is very realistic, and people do it all the time, so this is presented pretty damn well here. Mr. Terrific is, well, friggin' terrific. One of the best characters and standout for me in this series, and it's not for everyone. I'm gonna be honest. It is a slow burn. It took me about 2 issues to really get in, but once I got in, I was sucked in. It hooked me. Well, that sounds weird. I was sucked, but I was hooked in after the 2 issues, and I really enjoyed this one. Check it out. It is now out in hardback or trade back, whatever you want to call it, right now, and it's very much worth reading. Dark Knight Steel by Tom King and Yasmin Putri. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. I am so sorry, but this would probably actually be higher on my list if we had more issues that kept up with the quality of the story that we've gotten so far. So this would probably be higher on my list if there were more issues that kept up with this story and the quality that we got so far. This is basically Game of Thrones meets superheroes, and listen, I'm all for that. With lots of unique and fun twists with Bruce, Supergirl, and more, we get a very family versus other royal family, and a lot of deaths that are going to happen, and hands getting chopped off. So I like all that stuff. You know, I love when hands get chopped off. That means stuff is getting real. It helps that the art is fantastic, and the designs are pretty badass. A little bit of a twist on how they would look in those, like, old Game of Thrones times, medieval times type style. So I'm all for this series. If it keeps up the quality it is at right now, this will probably end up on my list next year because it'll be done by then. But I am really enjoying this one, and I can't wait to read more. And flying in one last time is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow by Tom King. And I am so sorry, I'm going to say this one wrong. I know it. Bilquis Evely? Am I saying that right? I'm saying that so wrong. But listen, this one's kind of unique to me because as a comic fan, there's a lot of characters that I love, but they don't always get the best runs. And Supergirl is a character I really enjoyed, both design-wise and personality for years. And with that, I've read a ton of Supergirl comics. Saying that, there has been some solid runs, and even ones that I were having a lot of fun, like the Red Lantern stint that she was doing. That was great. But I usually don't leave going, whoa, that was amazing. I have to recommend this to everyone. Luckily, being more than halfway done through Woman of Tomorrow, both artist and writer are crafting a really great story for Supergirl. Through her never-ending standing down and never giving up, to her fight to save and protect people, and one even storyline kind of getting out of her cousin's shadow. I personally am loving where this is going. And while not every single issue is blowing me away, there's two of them that simply did blow me away, and one of the top 2 issues of the year for me. So that really elevated the series. I can't wait to see how it wraps up, but this one is definitely a more hopeful look. And I know some people's criticism with Tom King is sometimes he's a little down. I love that stuff, but I understand this is definitely more of a happier, go-lucky story. Go check this out, while also giving that message that Supergirl will save you. And listen, I would love to be saved by Supergirl. She's badass. All right, and swinging into the things, oh man, I gotta stop with these things, is Nightwing. And Nightwing has had it rough. Besides Tim Seeley's solid run in the beginning of the Rebirth era, it has not been easy being a Nightwing fan. Come on, guys, let's be honest. After the incredibly shitty run of Rick, we have Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo. Did I get that right? I think I got that one right. I feel good about it, but probably not. But they have crafted a really heartfelt, really fun, and powerful character that I always loved and wanted more from. While doing that, they're also giving us a new villain who I think potentially might be really interesting. He's pretty cool now, but I want to see more of him. Overall, the only reason why this isn't like my number 1 or 2 is because the stuff with Fear State I didn't really love. I thought it was definitely a drawback from the excellent first few issues. But saying that, the first arc is so good in this series, it has to be in my top 3 of the year for DC. All right, and we're going to number 2 with Sandman and Lock and Key crossover. And while it's only 2 issues, this is a damn fine 2 issues. As a huge fan of Lock and Key and recently finishing the original Sandman run just last year, I was excited to jump back into this. Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez do a great job of feeling like we're back in the world of Lock and Key, while also sending us through more of a trippy and fun Sandman world. The ending is actually dour in some ways and a bit sad, yet I was kind of smiling, which is kind of how I always felt reading these 2 series anyway. It's like you're like, wow, that's really sad, but that's really well written. So you're like smiling because it's so good, but you're also like, wow, I'm gonna cry. That's kind of what this series does. And the biggest thing is not all crossovers work, but when they do and they're done good, well, you get something like this. It's written so well and drawn so beautifully. It is easy to see why this belongs at my number 2 spot on my list. And probably my most wild, biggest surprise of the year is Robin and Batman. That's right, you heard it right. Robin and Batman, not Batman and Robin. And finally, this is going to finish up my list. This is a title by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nigon. I know I'm saying that one wrong, and I'm so sorry, man. But this is the powerhouse team behind Ascender and Descender. That's right, I said 2 different things, not the same. This Ascender and Descender. This is a wonderful title. I'm going to be honest, this is probably one of my favorite titles, period, this year. It's, you know, with origin stories, you get a lot of, let's go back in time and tell a story that wasn't told, and they can feel like it's just filler or a waste or we've been there. Jeff Lemire wisely spends his time deep diving into Dick Grayson's psyche and giving us a full look into the mind of a kid working for Batman and basically being a soldier in a war against crime, while also wanting to be, well, a child, because he is a child. So it's crazy to see Jeff Lemire balance those things so well, and you feel bad at times, you feel happy at times, you want to punch Bruce in the fucking face at times. After issue 2, you'll see what I mean, while also giving us kind of a background of Grayson that you might be familiar with, but told in a way that you can relate to and love. And I have to say, the art is really what boosted up even more. There's excellent art in here. It has really unique story beats. It's fantastically paced. Listen, this is just one of the best reads of the year and must own for any DC fan. All right, guys, and so if you were with me after over a 15-minute video, probably, we are here. We are done. We have finished the year out. And listen, this was a fantastic year for comics, not only in DC, but Marvel and also indie, especially. That one took me a long time to figure out my top 10, and even manga. Now, we're talking about DC here, so I would love to see some titles you really love. There were ones that are too new that I only read an issue that I couldn't really put on here, like Batgirls that I enjoyed but didn't love. And so there's so many out there. But what about you guys? What stories really resonated with you this year from DC that you just have to put on your list for the best of the year? Everybody else, I hope you enjoyed these lists. I hope you pick up some of these comics, and hopefully in the end of the year we'll have some more interviews. I have a couple lined up right now. I'm really excited to do with creators, and hopefully you guys will check those out. And you guys just have a wonderful day, and I hope you enjoy these comics.